Did your divorce spark something in you that made you feel like, now I can live my dream?
She abandoned her children. She left her marriage. She just wanted to be famous. Rolling their eyes. Auntie wants to become a pop star now.
Did you ever feel like you weren't a good mum?
I posted that song. In a few weeks after that, that song just went viral. My life just went up like a rocket. I suddenly became a small name in music in England. I had no self-belief. I almost was made to feel like I was doing something so wrong.
Part of them is resentful that they weren't able to do the same.
Why is it that for a woman, there always has to be someone helping her? I used to work every morning till 4 a.m. I used to go and hustle.
I want to talk about 2020.
Kanika Kapoor was cancelled.
You became a poster child for COVID.
So I thought my career was over. People hate me because they look at me as some virus.
Did you receive any death threats?
So many, not just me, my children. People said that you should die.
You haven't released any music with Bollywood for quite a long time. Why is that?
But if you really want to know, I should tell you the truth. I went through them. A lot of them. Hi, this is Kanika Kapoor and welcome to A Millennial Mind.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Millennial Mind. Today, I have an exclusive interview with Kanika Kapoor, and we dive really deep into some of the unspoken truths about her journey. This is emotional, she's very vulnerable, but she's taught me so much about self-confidence, self-belief, and how you should never, ever give up on your dreams. Before we start this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could press the like, follow, and subscribe button and be an investor in my journey with me. Thank you so much for all your support. Let's get into the episode. Kanika Kapoor, welcome to Millennial Mind.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a podcast that I've been trying to organize with you for almost 2 years. So I'm very happy that we finally get to sit down and have this conversation, because when we met for the first time and I sat with you and we did have a few margaritas, but I felt that you shared...
You mean you had a few margaritas?
I had a few margaritas. What did you have?
I don't know, maybe wine?
Yeah, oh yeah, you did have wine. Yeah, you had wine. I feel like you shared so many vulnerable moments with me that people don't necessarily see on camera. So I really want to deep dive into that today. But for people who don't necessarily follow you or know about your music, tell us a little bit about yourself and how would you introduce yourself? Who is Kanika?
Oh my God, that's quite a tough question. Who is Kanika? I come from Lucknow. I was born and brought up in a beautiful home, in a beautiful joint family in Lucknow, and grew up with my great-grandparents, grandparents, my chacha-chachi, my cousins. And I had the most beautiful childhood, growing up with friends, my neighbors, playing seven tiles. And I think Lucknow has never left me, and I have never left Lucknow.
Really?
Although I've lived in London for the last 25 years, which is most of my adult life, but I'm a small town girl.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what about your life now? How would you introduce yourself if people said, what do you do?
I do introduce myself as I'm Kanika Kapoor and I am an artist. And then they get confused.
Yeah.
What do you mean by artist? Well, I say I'm a singer, songwriter, and a performing artist.
How did that passion for music come about? Were you always someone who loved music as a child?
I grew up in Lucknow in a joint family. My uncle used to learn music from my Guruji every Sunday. Just a passion and a hobby. And I used to be sitting there as a 6-year-old little girl watching. And when I was 8 years old, I started learning music and I started singing. And my parents noticed that I've started singing well. And by the time I was 12, 13, I started singing very well and started performing for All India Radio as a little, child artist. My Guruji really, gave me the wings, and he gave me a lot of opportunities. And I did my Visharad, which is like a master's in music, in Indian classical vocal, out of Bhatkande Music College in Lucknow. That's how I got into music.
Did you ever think you were going to be a worldwide superstar?
To be honest, yes, but I didn't know how. When I was 14 years old and there was a crossroads, which was like 16 schools participating in an inter-school competition.
Right.
And I remember me winning, in the cross, at the crossroads. And all I remember is that little girl with new dreams because she won and she became a star overnight amongst all those cute boys. And that's when I came back home and I told my mom, I want to go to Bombay and I want to get into Bollywood. And she said, no, I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
if the family would allow me to get into Bollywood and move to Bombay. I mean,
Right.
we were brought up very conservative and it was quite a culture where we were scared to send our daughters to Bombay and to live
Mhm.
alone, and had a very sheltered life growing up. So I wasn't sure if that dream was ever going to come true.
But it did.
Well, it did, but much later because I got married when I got engaged. I was 17 years old. I got married when I was 18 and I moved to London.
So talk to me about that. You said to your mum, I've won this competition and I want to be a singer. And she said, I'm not sure. At that moment, did
She's,
you feel any like sadness, the fact that you couldn't pursue this career? Or was it just, okay, it's fine. I might do it later on?
to be honest, I don't remember how I was
Hmm.
thinking and feeling at that time, but I do remember that my dad was quite for it, and
Really?
somewhere he wanted to help me grow into being an artist. I think my mother had fears about me moving to Mumbai, and
Hmm.
she had these fears about a girl, her little daughter, how would she live alone in Bombay, and what would happen to her, because I think you would hear of these strange stories
Hmm.
about Bollywood.
Hmm.
And so I think that's all. I mean, otherwise they were very, very supportive
Yeah.
about anything that I ever wanted to do.
But the focus was marriage.
The focus was not marriage.
Okay.
No, I think I was the only girl in the family who actually got married so young. And I think it just happened. It was just
Okay.
meant to happen.
So talk to me about that. You moved to London, you got married. Did you start a job or what were you doing?
Well, the first few years, I worked in a GP surgery in Hayes and Southall.
No way.
My first job was a receptionist, used to look after paperwork. And then I did a course in practice management, and I became an assistant practice manager.
Hmm.
And I think I worked for close to 5 years. And yeah, but I had children very young too. I had my children when I was 20. I was pregnant.
Wow.
And I had three babies in 5 years
Oh my
and six
gosh.
years. And so, yeah, I was like in my mid 20s when I had three little babies.
Hmm.
And I was busy.
How was
I
that?
was busy being a mummy. I was busy being a
Mm.
housewife. I was busy picking up and dropping my children to nursery and their little toddler schools.
Hmm.
And it was quite a sweet moment, actually.
And how did you find that? Because obviously, moving halfway across the world from your family, and like you said, you grew up in such a big family with such a close community. So then coming to London, and I presume you didn't know many people,
I didn't know anyone.
having three kids, you're in your early 20s, you're probably figuring out who you are as
Yeah.
well at the same time.
Yeah.
How did you manage all of that?
I didn't. I couldn't manage. I found it very, very hard to be a child myself while
Hmm.
I was having my babies. And the beauty is that I feel like I grew up with my children. Today they are my best friends, and
Yeah.
I had help from my parents, my in-laws. Then I mean, everyone sort of chipped in
Hmm.
into helping um, with the babies.
And so, whilst you were busy being a mother and adapting to a new country, did you ever think about music then?
I did, but I wasn't sure. I lived in Northwest London.
Hmm.
I almost knew nobody in the industry. I knew no one in Bombay. I was just busy lunching and bitching. And I'm not proud about that, but I think I was like a little girl myself and a little lost. Didn't know much about life, didn't know much about how to pursue a career. I did not have anyone who could teach me how to become a performing artist or how to get into music. And I knew no one, and I wasn't able to do much about it. So almost 13 years, I did not do anything about music.
You said you're not proud of lunching and bitching.
No, of course not. Who would be?
Talk to me about that. I think there are a lot of people who perhaps don't know where to start with their purpose and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so often, like you said, there's not much you can do if you're kind of stuck in a situation. What lessons would you give to someone who's watching this and maybe has had a self-reflective moment while you've said that and said, hey, that's kind of my life right now? What do they do?
I think it's not anyone's fault. It's the exposure that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
If you're free and you're not doing much and you're just meeting new people and all you do is make lunch plans and dinner plans and coffee plans and literally there's no other purpose in life. The only thing you do is sort of talk about other people because there's nothing more to talk about. And what you don't understand is that other people are talking about you too. So
at what point did that almost get too tiring where you thought, I need to do something now?
very, very early. I think after my 3 babies, I remember that moment where I suddenly realized my love in my life was music, and it's everything that I wanted growing up. I did everything to be a performing artist as a kid. That's what I dreamt of. That's what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how to do anything else. It was not that I was a good painter or I could do I couldn't cook or I couldn't do anything. Like I hadn't really done my I hadn't finished my education.
Right.
I hadn't finished my education before I moved. So all I knew was music. And I was very lucky and honored to have had learned from a master, from late Pandit Ganesh Prasad Mishra ji from the Banaras Gharanas.
Wow.
And I think wherever I am and the little that I know is because of him, and that's what I went back into very naturally.
So how did that process happen? You're a mother of 3. You're figuring out all of these different things. How did you move into the music world?
So when I decided 12 years later that I wanted to get back into music professionally, there was no thought that I should move to India, and I couldn't because I was actually by that time I was single again. I had gone through a divorce. I was going through a divorce, and I got back into music purely because I needed a job and a purpose in my life. And but there was at no point, but at no point did I ever think that I could move out of London. Because I had 3 little babies. And where would I leave them? And how would I go to Bombay and do what? I mean, I didn't know anyone in Bombay. So I found a producer in London and outside of London, and I started going to studio. Started, YouTube was quite new then. Started looking at what's playing and how to go about things, maybe remix some music.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to sort of put things together and where to get the lyricist from and where to get the producer from and what was the business. I had no idea about the business of music when I started. And a lot of people conned me at the time. They took advantage of the fact that I didn't know my rights. I didn't know what I was doing. So they took money from my savings and didn't do anything about it, and they just disappeared on me, basically.
Oh my God.
Which was very harsh. I did manage to remix a very popular old song, and I did a couple of songs after that. a friend of mine was very, very passionate about me doing what I'm doing. So she said, why don't you make a music video one day?
Right.
And I said, well, I don't have the money to. She says, okay, I'll lend you the money. Here's £2,000. Make a music video. So I created a music video in Camden. We shot a video, a green screen video, and we just posted it for free on YouTube at the time. And in a few weeks after that, that song just went viral in the UK. It was on the charts in the UK. I remember 6 months later, I think in October, I won the Britasia Music Award for the song. I suddenly became a small name in music in England.
Yeah.
Almost a year later, I got a call from India, from Bollywood, from a production house. 1 year later, saying, "Are you the singer or the model of this video?" I said, "Both." So they said, "Well, we don't have any budgets, but we want to try your voice in a song, on a song that we have, but you'll have to fly down on your own expense and try this and go back." So I did. My father said, "Yes, yes, you must go."
Right.
And while my parents were looking after the children, I flew to India, I sang the song, and I came back in 5 days. And literally another year later, that song released. And that was Baby Doll.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm just thinking about your mental state, because this podcast is very much around mental health and self-growth. And I'm just thinking, did your divorce spark something in you that made you feel like, now I can live my dreams?
Well, to be fair, I don't think that I was starved from living my dream. I just never thought that I was going to be able to live my dreams myself. Sometimes you are your own enemy.
Yes.
You overthink about things yourself. You don't allow yourself to grow. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think a lot of women will resonate with that. And I heard something the other day which really stuck with me, and it said, your perspective can be your prison.
Yeah.
So your perception about what marriage means.
Yeah.
If your perception of marriage means I can only do this, this, and this, and I cannot do this, this, and this, then that's what you'll be limited by.
Yeah.
And that's how we create our own limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And I think, like you, it wasn't a conscious thing of, I won't be able to do this when I get married. It's just, when I get married, this is my priority.
Yeah.
And now perhaps that I'm not, okay, well, what else can I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we need to open up that conversation for people who are married, because there is still this traditional view of, you can't do certain things when you're married to someone else because they should be your priority.
I mean, to be fair, I'm remarried. I got remarried 2 years ago into another very traditional and a beautiful family. And people ask me on a weekly basis, I have someone asking me, "Oh, you are still performing? What is the need to perform? What is the need?"
Right.
Like you're happily married, and you've married well.
Yes.
What is the need to work so much, and what is the need to do everything that you're doing and taking all these flights and being stressed and
Yeah.
and I just like it leaves me it just leaves me quiet, because I just feel that a lot of people who ask these questions, maybe they've not seen enough in their lives. Maybe they've not been exposed. Maybe they've not been exposed to hardships.
Yeah.
Maybe they've not been exposed to moments that I have been exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But for me as a woman, the one thing that I live and preach today is, no matter what age you are, no matter who you marry, no matter what happens, every girl at some level should work and do something constructive.
I agree.
With their time, so that they have, it's not about money, it's not about power, it's not about fame. It's about self-respect. It's about self-confidence and self-worth.
Yes. So true.
Before anything else. And I have 2 daughters, and that's what I teach them. Because I think that when I was young, I was lacking all these three things. I'd created so many. I'd created a cage for myself because I didn't believe that I could do this, and this.
Why?
Because sometimes, I do feel, and I'm not talking about my family, I'm just talking on a very general level. I do feel that in India and a lot of countries around in South Asia, I feel we are brought up so traditionally, and there's so many do's and don'ts that especially girls have to live by.
Yes.
I know it's changing, and I hope that it's changing, and I hope it changes for the better, because I'm so for equality. I have a son and two daughters, and I feel that they're all sons and they're all daughters.
Yeah.
And I think they're all equal, and I think they should all be raised with the same values, with the same confidence, with the same push. It's not that, we have to marry off our daughter. And I read something, was watching something about Kanyadan.
Yes.
On one of your podcasts.
Yeah.
And that did, have an impact on how I felt about it. And I thought, yes, nothing against people who want to live by their traditions, but I don't think I will do a Kanyadan after listening to that, because why should I think that I'm giving away my daughter to anyone?
Well, Neeta Ambani did another post actually in contradiction to me, and I respect her position. And she said, a Kanyadan is not a giving away of our daughter. We believe that in Hinduism, you can change with the times. And I think a lot of people got very upset with that post that I did, because they were saying, well, you're taking the meaning literally, or you haven't done the research behind it.
Yeah.
And some of it was saying, the reason why we take the husband's name and we do a Kanyadan is so that in a family tree, it's easier to manage. And the comments got very, very heated. And I also think this is all around personal preference and what you believe and what you don't.
For sure. But yes, I'm talking in the sense of
that
giving
notion.
Away. I'm not giving away my daughter.
Yes.
I'm just having.
You're gaining a son.
Gaining a son, and I'm giving. I'm adding something to our families.
100%.
And I shouldn't. My daughter should not feel that that this is it now. I've left my parents, and
correct.
I have to make a whole new life from scratch.
Yes,
that's what I mean by, Kanyadan.
I agree. And I think there are some families that will argue and say we're not that traditional, but they will act in that way. So, you must do things with our family more now, or you can't go home as much now. And I've had friends whose in-laws have made comments when they've gone to stay at their parents' house when they've got engaged or had a baby. And we all like to think we're very progressive and equality is normal, and we all think it's ridiculous that women don't have rights. But actually, when it comes to it, those traditional beliefs are still very ingrained in certain families. I'm not saying all, but in certain families. And I think it's up to our generation to challenge those so that we break that toxic cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you were saying that you weren't confident, you didn't have the self-belief, when did you start to see that change? What did you do to be confident and to get that self-belief back?
I was very, very lucky to have my parents and my brother at the time who gave me the confidence to move. And they never, at no point did they ever say, oh, you must fight for your rights and you must do this and you must do that. No, we are a very calm, happy family. And we all actually get on. And, I have a great relationship with my ex-husband and the families. And they just supported me at a time when they felt I needed their push and their support.
Right.
Because I think they realize that I want to grow, and for me, the growth would be only if I started doing something more constructive with my life. Everyone's different. I have so many friends and girlfriends who don't work and they're very happy, but they do other things. They use their time constructively. Someone has gotten to helping their family offices. Someone is looking after their home and babies. It's a full-time job. I have to say I missed a lot of bringing up my children because I had a full-time job. So it's your choice. whatever makes you happy and gives you confidence and gives you a purpose in your life. So there's nothing wrong or right about being a somebody or wanting to be a somebody or wanting to pursue your dreams. It's very relative. My parents helped me, my brother helped me in, giving me that push and that hope and that base of saying, Kanika, we are here. Don't worry about anything. Go and try your best. Because of course, when there's so many singers, so many actors, so many influencers, there's so many people in the world. Every household has a singer, dancer, influencer, designer,
so true,
artist. I mean, every family today has a photographer.
Yeah.
What are the chances of, your song becoming a super hit and you suddenly 3 months later being on a world tour with Shah Rukh Khan?
Wait, we need to talk about that.
And performing literally in front of 100,000 people and being introduced by the greatest artists on stage and being one of them.
It's crazy.
So what are the odds of that happening? It's very little.
You said that your parents really supported you emotionally through that time. Was there a stigma when you got divorced? Because you got divorced about 10 years ago, right?
More than 10 years ago.
More than 10 years ago.
12 years ago.
When I don't think it was as accepted, especially for a woman.
I don't think divorce is just accepted ever.
Even still to this day?
I don't think so. No. I think a lot of friends I know who are in bad marriages have no choice. I mean, they are still there because they are scared of that stigma of going through a divorce or, what would happen? Oh, I'm a mother. I'm 30 or 40 years old. Like, what will I do? How would my life be? People wouldn't accept me without being a missus. There are a lot of girls who talk to me about this actually in private. And it makes me very sad.
Were you scared of that?
I was very scared of that. I think my mom was very scared of that.
Yeah.
And I think she did not want me to go through a divorce because it is a stigma, And I remember clearly going through a divorce and my career starting with such a bang. My life just went up like a rocket. And so many people, I mean, all these lovely aunties and all these lovely friends, social friends, in London, all they said, oh, auntie wants to become a pop star now.
Wow.
Literally like this, like rolling their eyes and saying, oh, auntie wants to become a pop star now. And I remember that was a hard moment because I had no self-belief and I almost was made to feel like I was doing something so wrong.
Yes.
Oh, how is she successful? Who is helping her? Who is behind all this? Who is helping her? Why is it that for a girl, for a woman, there always has to be someone helping her? Why? Sorry, no one helped me. I helped myself. I worked and worked and worked away from my family against all odds. I used to work every morning till 4 a.m. in different studios. I used to go and hustle. I didn't know how to perform. I didn't have a band. I didn't have a manager. I was lost. The prime of my career, I had nothing. And all these people and this talk used to play on my mind constantly because I was weak and I never knew any better. Like I didn't know that I shouldn't really listen to all this. And of course, not just that. Oh, not like, oh, well done, Kanika. You've done so well. Oh, how do you manage being without your children? How can you just abandon them? Oh, she abandoned her children. She left her marriage. She is so selfish. She just wanted to be famous. And she did all of this to be famous. It's really sad that people including us, we are the people. We don't think before we judge anybody else. How do you know what's going on in someone's life? We don't know. How do you know what struggle anyone's going through? You know, I went through them, a lot of them.
Okay.
A lot of them.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
How did you stop allowing those people to dictate how you acted?
You know, it happened over time. I think as I started becoming a performing artist, I started learning more. I started facing more people, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, 100,000. The more I started performing, the more it started giving me more confidence. And I remember having a switch in my head, thinking, why am I thinking about those few people who talk about me and put me down? What about all these millions of people I face every day and they love me?
Yes.
You know, they buy my music, they support my music, they like my voice. It was almost like someone telling me, Kanika, well done, you sang so well. And I was like, really? No, I didn't sing so well. Because I did not have that belief. It changed and I changed.
And how did you change?
I think I changed with maturity by like I said, just by being the performing artist. It was almost like I started learning to give. And I stopped thinking about what was coming in. I stopped thinking about what people should be giving me. I just blocked myself gradually. And today I feel like I'm the best version of myself. I wish I could help all these girls and boys who feel that they don't have any self-worth, or they feel that their life has just ended because they are married and they have, especially for girls who are married and have babies, and they think, oh, we are 35 years old and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We will be disrespected. We will have, people with no purpose.
Yeah.
Because they are not allowed to have a purpose. And I don't want people watching this podcast and thinking, oh, why is she coming from a bitter place? I'm not coming from a bitter place. I'm coming from a very happy place. I want people to know, I want girls to know that your life does not end because you are aging. If you're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60, 70, does not mean that you can't live your dreams. Yes, there's an audience for everyone. There's an audience for me when I'm 20. There's an audience for me when I'm 40. You know?
And I don't think you're coming from a bitter place. I think you're coming from a place where you've done both. You've done one side where you didn't live your life.
Well, I became a star when I was 14.
14?
14 in school at the crossroads.
But then you went to a place when you were in your 20s and you weren't spending time on the things that you love.
Yeah.
And then you've gone back and you just want to help people not be stuck in that place. Yeah. Because like you said, you felt stuck. You felt trapped by the limiting beliefs that you put on yourself of this is what I should be. And then when you broke free from that, you were thought, okay, well, maybe I can do something. And I don't think it comes across as preachy. And I resonate with your story because I've done both too. And that's why I always encourage people to find their strengths. And I think the reason why close people to you will always say those catty comments is because a part of them is resentful that they weren't able to do the same.
Yeah.
A part of them feels that I can't do what she's done and go after my dreams because I'm scared of the same things as you probably were.
Yeah.
You know, those friends that you had, they're probably nervous because they were brought up in the same environment as you. with those same narratives
Mm-hmm.
and you broke free from them and they didn't. So, of course, they're going to be the first ones that are going to say, also, why are you doing that? Why are you abandoning your family? Because they are so scared. And it doesn't, sometimes again, come from a place of, bitchiness, but deep inside, the people who spread hate, the people who say horrible things, they are deeply unhappy and
They're
probably
deeply unhappy.
insecure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've learned as well. It doesn't mean it still doesn't hurt when someone says horrible things to you. And you can't exactly turn around to someone and say, oh, well, you know what? You're really insecure, because then it sounds like you're being catty.
Yeah.
But I think it's a place of acceptance of, I respect your opinion, but I'm not going to let it impact me because you have limited knowledge.
Yeah.
So you're not a guru to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to value your
But that's how I think.
Yeah.
I don't take criticism as an insult or, I don't judge people who judge me because they judge me with the way they think and the limitations and, the upbringing they've had.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've learned so much over the last 10 years,
Yeah.
in my career, especially when you're performing for students, when you're performing for weddings, when you're performing for corporates. I see so many different emotions. I mean, I go to a college and and we have a big concert and I see these kids, they are just they have these little dreams.
Yeah.
Then I go to a wedding and I perform and I have, I feel emotions. I feel emotions of all these people, the bride, the groom, their parents, the celebration. It's a different emotion. There's so much I watch being on stage.
Right.
I feel people. In a corporate, where a lot of people who are working and sometimes they have, these conferences and we have concerts for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they have concerts for their employees and, there's thousands of employees who come together in a conference and then they have this big concert for them.
Yeah.
They really let go. I mean, it's crazy what all I see being on stage. And it's a lot of these people who've taught me so many more things in life, about just be who you are, be authentic, I was scared to be myself. Another thing that I learned a lot from my career was patience.
I was just about to.
It is not going to work the way you want. People don't work the way you want. And it's okay. Everything is okay. Not every song is going to be a super hit. Not every movie is going to be a super hit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be glowing every day of your life.
You always are glowing every time I see you. You are. Everyone just look at her skin. It's crazy. But I want to talk to you about that actually, because you started your career with a bang, like you said. Baby Doll went viral and everyone still actually, it's really funny. Someone messaged me the other day being like, is she the one who sang Baby Doll? It's my favorite song. And still to this day, however many years after, it's still people's favorite song.
Yeah.
After that, you said you toured with Shah Rukh Khan for 3 months.
No, after 3 months, I did, my next song was Lovely and Happy New Year,
Yes.
which was for Deepika and Shah Rukh and Abhishek. And because of that, again, becoming a super hit, I went on a world tour with them for 6 weeks. We did 14 concerts around the world, ending at the O2 in London.
Oh my God. And how did that opportunity come about?
Well, I guess because I had the current hits and I was the new girl, the new artist in the industry who was working out. I mean, Baby Doll was a massive hit. And then Lovely coming 3 months later, again being a super hit. Chittiyan Kalaiya Ki coming 2 months later and being even a bigger hit. I mean, it was just insane. What a year.
And how did you cope with that? Was it overwhelming?
It was overwhelming. And I think I was going through so many emotions of, I almost didn't understand what was going on because it was just like Kanika Kapoor was on a roll. And I remember that those were some of my hardest years because I was going through a divorce. I was coming out of it. I didn't get time to even have a closure in my mind, you know? And so there was a huge amount of sadness, but a huge amount of excitement,
Yeah.
So it was just mixed emotions. And it took me a while to get over that. And I think by the time I felt a bit more settled, it was 2020.
And it was
And
COVID.
COVID hit. And it hit me first. And that was quite a turning point in my life also.
What's really interesting is you just mentioned Kanika Kapoor was on a roll. And those 3 songs, like I said, people still play them now. Having hit song after hit song after hit song when you're a new artist is almost unheard of. And I presume that people watching were probably thinking, this is probably the best time of your life. I mean, you've just got divorced and now you've got these 3 hit songs. You must be so happy because you've let go of this new chapter. I mean, you've let go of this old chapter. You're starting this new chapter. And how amazing and how inspiring. But you just said it was one of the hardest periods of your life. And so often I hear that from people is what we see on the outside is very different what's happening on the inside. What were some of those hardest parts that perhaps you didn't show?
Too many. I think it was a huge transition from, being away from my children for a lot of time. I mean, being away from my children for, I don't know, I was in and out of London. I had to be there in Mumbai I had to change my base and move to Mumbai to be there to really learn the business of music and really get on with my job.
Yeah.
My children were in school in London. My parents were looking after them. My ex-husband then took over and started looking after them. And I, I had a lot of guilt that, because I was brought up to being that mom who would always be with my children. And here I was in another country. So I would fly back for their sports day, and I would fly back for the parent teacher meeting, and I would fly back, and I was in and out and in and out. And I was on a plane. Things were I was all over the place. So I don't think I had that moment to sit and think that, this is the greatest time of my life, and such good stuff is going on, and what's going on. And I was winning all these awards, and I was dressing up, and it was the hardest moment.
It's interesting. I don't think men get asked this question because when it's the highlight of their career, the message behind it is that men are doing it for the family. They're doing it to look after, to provide, to protect.
Yeah, but
I don't think
women are
have
doing
the
it, they're
same.
selfish.
Yes, women are doing it for their ego. Like you said, people ask you, what are you doing this for?
Yeah. What's the need?
What's the need?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome is when you've been raised to be one way, you go against that. It's not even if you know it's wrong, you still feel guilty. It's almost that when I don't make food for my fiance, I feel guilty even though he doesn't expect it of me. I know that I don't have to be a housewife for him, but it's in my head, I still feel that guilt. And what annoys me is that when women criticize other women for working, why should we be criticized for going after our dreams? But when men do it, the responsibility falls on the woman. And when a man looks after the children, it's always, oh my God, he's so good. I heard my mum say to someone the other day, gosh, you're so good that you change her nappies about his daughter. And I'm like, why is he so good for changing his daughter's nappies? But you've never said that to the mum.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our moms are very similar.
Right? It's so ingrained in us.
But it's ingrained in us. It's not
it's not malicious. Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
it is what it is. I mean, if a guy looks after the home and it takes interest in running the home, it's unheard of in our culture.
Did you ever feel like you weren't a good mom?
Many times. But I think I'm a brilliant mom because I think I was a happy mom. I gave my children an opportunity to dream and to dream big. And I gave them an opportunity to understand that if there is a failure, it's okay. They can get up and try again. There is who's made the rule that failure is a bad thing and being successful is a good thing? I don't think that success is everything. It's okay. Whatever happens, it's okay. You have a hit, it's okay. If you have a flop, it's okay. Life is just going on. These are all different emotions of life that you go through. And that is what I've given back to my children today. That's what they inherit from me. And we talk about it all the time because I don't want them to think that they are not successful and they are not, if they don't have the A stars, they are not successful. I know. I tell my children, doesn't matter what grades. I don't even want to know.
Really?
I promise you, I don't care. I care about the fact that they are comfortable in their skin because I know as they grow older, they will learn to be the best versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They will find they'll have their calling. I did it. You know, I did it. I did what I was good at. So I think parents who are so harsh on their children about the grades and whether they are, which school they go to, and I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't matter.
And I guess one of the interesting points you said to me when we spoke last time, what defines a good mother?
Everyone is a good mother. Every mother is a good mother.
Mm-hmm.
She does the best that she can. Who is anyone to sit and judge, oh, she's ticking the boxes and she's not ticking the boxes? Who's making all these rules?
Mm.
You know? So, yeah, every mother is a good mother.
Did anyone ever criticize your parenting that was close to you?
Yes, of course. Yes, many people would say that, oh, she's not a good mother. She's on her own trip. But I'm not sure if anyone really knew what was going on. And the fact that I was a mother who was providing, I was a working mother. I was a full-time working mom. I was a role model to my children. Just because I wasn't there with them 24 hours doesn't mean that I was not responsible or I didn't do the best that I could. I did the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've had the best of everything.
And I think so often we think that if we don't spend enough time with this person, we're not prioritizing them. But we don't often think about all the other things that we're doing because they're our priority.
Yeah.
So, I think that you've been such a great role model to show them that you can never let things stop you. If you were my mom, I'd be like, good for you. After you got divorced, you went and did this and you did that. And I think it's a really powerful thing to show your kids the strength within you.
I don't want to press on the fact that, oh, I got divorced and I then did this and I then did that. To be honest, I think the message that your children should learn is just to grow up being themselves, being confident, not living off what other people are doing and thinking. If you're on a boat, on a private plane, doesn't mean I have to be there too. I am very happy being on my couch.
Yeah.
And listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn this over time.
Mm-hmm.
That what you have and what you are is enough. And that what you need to be is the best version of yourself.
So true.
So
true. I want to talk about 2020. You became the poster child for COVID. And every time I research any articles about that, all I see are very negative things. And you sparked a lot of controversy. How did you handle that?
I think I couldn't handle that either. It was a lot. And again, it came from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was in India. It was March 9th that I landed in India and I was absolutely fine. I went home for Holi to my parents in Lucknow. I was absolutely fine. And for the 2-3 days, there were just around Holi, there was just family get-togethers and that's it. And on the 16th of March, I started feeling a little unwell.
Okay.
there was no COVID protocol or any rules when I had come into India on the 9th. So I did not break any rules or do anything wrong. I called up the hospital myself because I knew one of the heads over there, and I asked to get tested because I lived at home with my grandmother who was 90 and my parents who, have underlying issues and, a joint family. So I called up I lost my smell and my taste.
Wow.
And I had just, the week before that, I'd met all my nani and my dadi and my whole extended family. So just out of responsibility, I called up the hospital, but they did not even have a test in Lucknow.
Wow.
That time. By the time they did my test was the 19th. So 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. 4 days later. By the time they did my test, I was fine.
So why were you accused?
20th morning, I get a call from the officer from the hospital that, oh my God, madam, you have COVID. And I think I was maybe the first person to be detected with COVID in Lucknow. I mean, maybe one of the first ones in India that was spoken about.
Mm.
And I remember that a lot of people who had met me in the last 10 days, of course, all jumped because they, we didn't know what to expect and what was COVID. And we thought COVID means death.
Right.
I mean, we were very scared.
Of course.
But thankfully, everyone who had come around me in those last 10 days, nobody got COVID.
Okay.
I was taken to hospital for 16 days. All I remember was watching the news and stories on Instagram and on the national news and in the papers about how I've come and I've run away from, I knew I have COVID and I ran away from the airport. I didn't get myself tested and I was irresponsible and I did wrong. Kanika Kapoor was cancelled, and I'm sitting and thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I was just responsible. I wasn't feeling well. I'm the one who's made so many phone calls to get myself tested, and it's not my fault that I got COVID. And the next thing I remember was 4 days later that it was announced that India shut down on the 24th of March. I became the poster child, yes. I didn't realize at that time, maybe I was just laughing and laughing about everything that I saw on TV and all the bad press. I didn't realize till I didn't get back home how serious the situation was and how Kanika Kapoor was cancelled. And maybe cancelled forever. I thought my career was over. People hate me because they look at me as some virus.
No.
People said that I've brought the virus to the country. It was very harsh. It wasn't fair, but life isn't fair. I then, few months later, came back to London, and I did not look back for a while in India. And I think it affected me mentally. It again took away a lot of me. I thought everyone hates me, and again, it took away a lot of confidence.
Of course.
I did not, I was scared to go out and perform in front of people. What if they do, I didn't know the reaction.
Did you receive any death threats?
So many, not just me, my children, also my parents. Like people said that you should die. You should die. I mean, it was really harsh. My children got so many threats. They got such horrible messages. My parents got horrible messages because there were just stories, false stories coming out of me being irresponsible and doing things on purpose, which I wasn't. I mean, there were stories about me being uh, uh, starry in hospital and that I'm treating the doctors badly. And I mean, I was shocked at the stories that were coming out. it had a huge impact. Maybe then I didn't feel it, but it took me a couple of years to sort of get back to feeling okay and feeling accepted again. Um, India opened up. I did go back,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a lot of fear in me.
Of course.
I feel like it changed. It changed me a lot. Um, and I think there's a whole 2.0 to Kanika Kapoor today with with everything that she's doing now. And the best is yet to come.
It's interesting that you said that. I love it when people talk about themselves in third person because it reminds me of like telling a story and allowing that vision, that reality to come through.
Yeah.
But it must be very difficult to go back to a country where you've been so loved and then they turn on you.
Turn on me and how and everyone. I'm talking about there were WhatsApp groups made about hatred for me,
Wow.
and
Did the industry turn on you?
everyone turned on me. I would say my own extended family also.
Really?
Everyone judged me. And I don't even know what I did wrong.
Forgiveness is, I think, something that you learn at an older age to be a lot more comfortable with and a lot more graceful with. How did you forgive those who turned their back on you?
I learned how to forgive a long time ago because I thought I cannot keep so much on me.
Mm,
How you treat me is your karma and is your problem. How I treat you is my karma. And I believe in karma
why?
because I don't, I can't figure out any other way of life. Um, it is your good deeds and your bad deeds. I mean, yes, someone just asked me, oh, what is good and bad? There's nothing good or bad.
Right.
So actually it's something that I'm also learning and I think about every day.
You haven't released any music with Bollywood for quite a long time. Why is that?
But if you really want to know, I should tell you the truth. I should tell you as it is. When I was on the peak of my career, and this is 2018-19, there was one company that came to me and said, you must sign with us and we must own Kanika Kapoor, and give away all my rights for life.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that. And I remember being given a contract and being told that I must sign this contract on their terms. Otherwise, they will make sure that my career is over and they would make sure that no one is going to work with me. I did not sign that contract. The next thing I know was my voice was replaced by many other artists who did sign the contracts. At the time, it was quite shocking that this could happen. But anyone in India who knows of the industry, that's how it used to work back in the day. And I think the one thing that COVID taught the Indian Bollywood industry was independent music for singers.
Right.
I mean, if I'm in London, I'm home and I want to still sing, and I don't have the Bollywood movie giving me an opportunity, how else would I sing? Independent music. I'm so proud that today we have, I think independent music is bigger in India today than Bollywood because not so many Bollywood movies are coming out or doing well. And the odd few that are also have just maybe a couple of songs.
Yeah.
So there's so many artists from the rural areas, from different, from places where there was very less opportunity. Just releasing music on Instagram, on YouTube, and becoming superstars.
Yeah.
The new superstars of India are not because of Bollywood. They are because they are talented
Yes.
and they've believed in their music. They have worked day and night and lived their dreams. It's not because of Bollywood. When I was launched as an artist, we were dependent. There was no other way.
Right.
There was no way of, we were dependent on the companies to give us the distribution or the break.
Right.
Today, we are not dependent on anyone. There's because of digital India and the way that our government is helping us grow is insane. It's a different India today.
Do you think there's still a barter system in Bollywood?
I wouldn't say that it's a complete barter system, but yes, it has become very different from what it used to be before. A lot of music directors would come up to you and say that, you come and become a part of our band, and we will give you Bollywood songs in return. We'll make sure that we put your voice
Yes.
In the songs. And that's what's happening today with a lot of artists. I didn't want to be a band member of just anyone.
Right.
I don't mind singing with some credible music directors. I think it would be an honor to sing with a few. But I want to have my own identity. I've worked for years and years and years trying to be the artist that I am today. And why would I? Everyone has it differently. I mean, some people want to do it, some people don't want to do it. It's very personal.
Yes.
So if you haven't heard a lot of Bollywood songs from me, it's only because I was stuck. I chose different things.
And were you punished for that?
Of course, I was punished for that. I'm still being punished for that. Any industry in the
Right.
world. I mean, you want to become a doctor, lawyer, architect. I mean, anything. I think everything has
It's challenges.
It's it's about your mindset. I don't take it personally.
Right.
I'm on my own trip.
Right.
I'm making music that I love. I have to be honest, I did go through moments where I felt insecure and I thought, oh my God, is my career over? Because everyone would just ask me constantly, when's the Bollywood song coming out? When's your Bollywood song coming out? When's your Bollywood song coming out? And I thought, I remember sitting down and thinking, oh, if I don't have a Bollywood song, is my career over? Or is it that I should take out time and create some of my own music? And I think that's what I've been doing. I took 10 steps back.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time with family. I got remarried. I took time off to be with myself. And last year, I launched Bajao Records, which is a music record label that I own and I launched. Not only to put out music, to release music, which was my own independent music. I wanted to give an opportunity to people like me 10 years ago who did not know the business of music, their rights, the publishing, and so much more that it takes to be a performing artist.
Yeah.
And I think Bajar Records is doing its best. It's slow and steady. And I have an ocean of music coming out, which luckily for the first time I own.
Yes.
I understand publishing. I understand the business of music. Anyone who works with me, everything is very transparent. It's fair play.
Yeah, of course.
And it's my way of giving back.
I love that. I think what I'm hearing from your story is a lot of bravery. And I hear this from people who say, I had a really traditional upbringing. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They say all of these things about themselves. but their actions are very brave. Your action to divorce your husband when your mum told you it wasn't the right thing to do was brave, even when you had those doubts about what would society say. Your action to continue with pushing with your music career when people were judging you for not being at home with your children was very brave. Your action to say, no, I'm not going to sign with this Bollywood label. I think I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to give away my rights, even if you threaten me, is brave.
Yeah.
So you've always had this bravery muscle within you. How do you strengthen that bravery muscle? Because, like you mentioned, there's been times where it's dipped, but you always seem to bounce back. What do you think your tip is for bouncing back for people who are perhaps in a situation that you were in 2020, where your mental health was really struggling, when you thought you were going to be cancelled? You know, I think with the digital age, it's incredible with the amount of reach that you can get online, but that can turn very quickly.
Anything can happen.
Right.
Anything can happen. I think I get my bravery from everything that I've gone through in my life, because everything I went through was started very young.
Mm,
And the one thing that I was lucky about was my closest friends and my family, um, who've actually been very consistent with me through everything.
right.
The one thing that they always gave me was, and taught me and spoke about, was never negative, negative, negative. We
Right.
did not thrive on putting other people down and blaming other people for the situation that I was in.
Mm,
I don't blame anybody for anything that has happened in my life, because this whole blaming game is just so easy. I think you have to look at yourself. Um, if as a woman I compromise, it's my choice.
mm,
What is compromise? It's, again, you compromise because you're brought up with certain values that you don't want to go against your parents and the rules and this and that, and being the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect daughter, perfect sister, perfect friend, perfect socialite. I mean, we don't have to be perfect, and we cannot blame anyone for anything. People will be people. We have to just understand that we come with nothing and we go with nothing. We are always on the profit side.
yes.
That's what Sadhguru said, and I believe in that. And that's how I live my life today. And go there and help people. Each one of us needs help. Each one of us.
So true.
It could be a man, it could be a woman. We all need help.
So true. I love that. And it seems that you've done a lot of self growth and you've done a lot of personal development. What's been the best lesson that's helped you grow?
I think the best lesson in my life for me today is to be self-dependent. And from being self-dependent does not mean that you can't depend on your family and your husband and your children and your friends and the world around you. It means emotionally, I have very less expectation. I don't sit and keep on judging my parents to be a certain way, or my husband to be a certain way, or my children to be a certain way, or for my friends to be a certain way. There is so much expectation from everything in the world. That's what makes you unhappy.
Yes.
So that has been my biggest lesson.
And tell me one thing that we can do to be more self dependent.
It's just to read and listen to positive things and people. We are not here to preach because
No.
we are all learning. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I have a long way to go. I have a lot of songs to sing.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people in the world to. I have a lot to give, and I have a long way to go. I have a lot of music coming, and I'm so excited about finally doing what I love doing the most.
Yes.
And without having the fear of thinking, oh, will it work or not? Will people
Mm.
accept me and my music and my new music?
I love that. I know, really resonate. I think doing what you love is the greatest joy in the world.
Yeah. And it's not that it's happened overnight.
Mm.
You know, I had to initially do everything that I did to survive.
Mm.
It took me 10 years to reach this place to be able to do and afford to be able to do what I'm doing now,
Yes.
you know? So practically speaking, it I understand that it's not, oh, it's very easy to say that, oh,
Yeah.
you must live your dream and you must do this. Yes. I mean, you have to work hard to be able to take yourself there,
So true.
you know? And so, yes, go and work hard. Stop
Mhm.
feeling sorry for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every human being in the world has their own challenges,
Yes. So true.
you know, and all that glitters is not gold.
So true. And I
So,
think it does take time. I mean,
yeah.
even for me this year, it'll be almost, even for me this year, it's been 4 years since I started my podcast. And people forget that. They think I started it last year or the year before, but 4 years is quite a long time. And I'm nowhere where I want to go. But we forget that everyone's journey has a very long story before we even knew about them. And I really thank you for sharing so much of that in detail and being so vulnerable and open with me, because I think doing what you love is the greatest joy in life. And you've allowed me to do that today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.